G'day and welcome to our first podcast, which is the Plenty of Football podcast, which will be looking at the beautiful game through a New Zealand lens. Your hosts are myself, Mark, and my son here, Harry. Two football tragics living in a rugby country. Now, Harry, it's been a great summer in New Zealand, watching Chris Wood and Nottingham Forest banging all those goals in. But today was the first day of our national competition, which saw Auckland City host Tauranga City, our hometown, in the Northern League.
Yep.
Now, that's in Kiwitea Street. Is that right?
That's right there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And all I would say for today, Harry, chaos in Kiwitea Street.
I mean, it's a great game to be in neutral. A 2-1 ending after a 98th minute winner from Auckland City, and they score with 9 men on the pitch. Surely if you're Tauranga City, you got to feel a bit hard done by.
I would say they'd be feeling very hard done by on the fairly short trip back from Auckland. I think especially when they were 1-0 up after 3 minutes. You know, we sat here, we watched the game on FIFA Plus, and I've got to say, it was one hell of an opening to a game.
Yeah. I mean, for the underdogs with the odds of 8-1 to score in the first 2 minutes after a dodgy back pass intercepted and put in really sneakily past the keeper. You could say they kind of dropped off after the first 20 minutes, Tauranga. They came into the game really lively, but after that first goal, they kind of looked more conservative.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe the occasion got to them. I mean, they couldn't hardly start better. I mean, you know, Liam Malloy was onto that back pass, you know, in a moment, and still had a bit to do to round the goalkeeper and push it past the covering defender. So, you know, it's pretty easy to emotionally get pretty high at the beginning of a game like that. And I mean, what did we see? We saw Auckland City come back and show their quality and their experience and really start taking the game to Tauranga City.
Yeah.
In that first half, you know, over the period of that first half, you could really see Auckland start to dominate with the ball, and Tauranga City having to start relying on counter-attacks. You know, and that seemed to be the pattern of the game, definitely till half time.
Yeah. Let's talk about the first real big talking point. That's ending off in the 60th minute. Do you reckon that was a red, or do you reckon both players should be at least handed a card from that?
I mean, from the coverage, which was, you know,
pretty awful,
pretty ropey. And I mean, fair play to the commentator who was trying to get the editor to rewind and show the clip. When they eventually got there, all you saw was a bit of a tussle and maybe a bit of a wild swing by the Auckland City player, who seemed to have lost his head for a moment. But yeah, from what the coverage showed, it looked like the referee didn't really have much option but to give him the straight red.
And they didn't look like they were arguing it either.
No, I think they looked like two sets of players that were pretty shocked, and one guy trudging off who was probably regretting his rush of blood.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other sending off. A clumsy challenge, didn't really need to be happening on a counter-attack. Do you think that one was a red as well?
Yeah, well, he possibly could feel that he's maybe slightly more hard done by.
I mean, coming on from the bench in the first 20 minutes and then getting sent off, how do you think that's got to feel?
Well, I mean, coaches do ask players to come on and make a big impact.
He did certainly make a big impact.
And if the big centre forward, Morgan Wellsbury, hadn't been quick enough, that impact could have been worse for him. But he seemed to get above the challenge and ride it. But he was definitely coming in with exceptional force.
And now let's go to the 80th minute, a disallowed goal. Do you think that should have been disallowed?
Well, I think we watched that goal together, and and there was a moment of distraction in the room, and I feel like you may have had the better view of that. And
I think the best way to say it is the keeper's done well to get that disallowed. He's getting nowhere near the ball, but I think he's done just enough to look like he's been obstructed.
well, the way that the referee initially gave the goal, and
Then disallowed it.
and then had to go over and speak to the touchy. It looked like there was a bit of debate on whether it should go ahead. And who was the person that had the goal disallowed? That was Colby.
Yeah, Colby.
The Cheesemeister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to feel fairly stink that he's had that goal chalked off.
A good volley. Keeper got nowhere near, jumps into a striker and counts as obstruction.
Possibly, and it's also maybe a bit of a tale of what Tauranga City should have done a little bit more often. I mean, they've possibly had more opportunities to take strikes early outside the box, and decided to try and play through or round instead, which ended up that their goalkeeper, the Auckland City goalkeeper, was obviously a good player, didn't really have to have too much to do, apart from coming out and making some good punches from crosses.
Yeah, you got to think Tauranga City's corner technique. They must have been working on that for a long time because it was really showing how good it was.
Well, I mean, these guys are quality players, and there's definitely enough coaches on the bench to come in with a few ideas and set plays. So, but ironically, it was Auckland City that scored from their corner.
Yeah,
and the classic near post glancing header move often works very hard to...
Don't do that, please. Cut this. 7:50 we can cut, and then 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's the classic near post corner move where it's very hard to defend, but if the attacker gets the right connection, can almost certainly result in a goal. So yeah, well played, Auckland. It's an old move, but one that will no doubt be used by all clubs all over the world every week.
Yeah, and finally the last minute 1-2 off the post from Auckland in the 98th minute. Do you think this should have been 8 minutes at a time?
Well, two sending offs, a little bit of injury time with the physios came on, and we also had obviously a couple of goals. So yeah, it was debatable. It was going to be 8 minutes, and for that last 20 minutes, Tauranga City looked like they were going to try and force the winner.
Yeah.
But the irony was that even with 9 players, Auckland City still had enough quality to make the occasional counter-attack. And, that with the Irish lad who scored the winner.
Dylan Connolly.
Dylan Connolly. He's quite a player, and I thought that was a great piece of improvisation to play the 1-2 off the post, surround the goalkeeper, and finish coolly.
Yeah.
Especially when he had nobody else to pass the ball to by that stage of the game.
Let's move on to the A-League now.
A-League news. So what's going on in A-League news?
A-League news. So the big game for the A-League is surprisingly Perth versus Brisbane.
Oh, the wooden spooner.
Yeah. 12th versus 13th. You could say both clubs in this fixture hadn't really been onto it this season. Brisbane have showed their quality at some time, but they've sold a couple of their good players, and we just haven't seen much of Perth.
Well, no, I suppose it's the cyclic nature of football down under. Perth are very much a yo-yo club when it comes to having bust and boom years. I mean, that for a number of years they have been one of the best teams in the A-League. But, it only takes a few changes in personnel, and then, you can find yourself having a long, tough season.
Yeah.
But I think both clubs are good clubs, and they definitely will use this season to to build on for next season, because obviously down here we don't have the relegation.
Yeah.
So, it's basically it's pride they're playing for. Nobody wants to be bottom of the pile. And I'm sure they'll be scrapping it out Aussie style to make sure each of them come out on top.
Yeah. Let's go into, for us, our big game, Auckland versus the Central Coast Mariners. Now, what do you think's going to happen in this game?
Well, I mean, our new team on the block, Auckland FC. I mean, yes, it may be a bit of a bandwagon attitude, which we have jumped on with both feet, both of us. With really enjoyed our trips up to watch Auckland play this season.
Yeah.
And if it's a home game and the port is on song and making its noise, I can well see Auckland getting on top early and pressing home their advantage.
Yeah.
But what happened in the last game we went to?
Both defences were really shaky in the 4-4 Adelaide game. They do show a lot of fight at home, Auckland, but can they stay resilient enough at the back to not let the goals go in?
Well, we have, some mature class at the back for Auckland, don't we? I mean, who makes our back line?
Hiroki Sakai, Tommy Smith, Nando Pinecker, and of course Frankie de Vries.
Yeah, and of course Frankie de Vries, the big, strong left back. Obviously very athletic. I mean, the strength of that team has really looked like it's been built on defence.
Yeah.
With obviously with the attacking threat of Moy and who else have we got?
Jesse Randall, Jonty Bidwell.
Jonty Bidwell. Get Jonty on. Come on. He's our Tauranga City boy. Tauranga Boys College boy. Where's Jonty? This is going to be...
Jonty's unknown. Do we know if Jonty still exists anymore?
He exists. He is there. I'm sure he's banging in goals in training.
I mean,
I love this guy, Moy, however we want to say it. Moy. Good player, quality, very high quality. We just hope that the mercurial Jonty Bidwell is there, learning and sharpening his skills
with two world-class strikers.
Two very good strikers there, and it's been a good season to jump on board with Auckland, to go up there, to travel, to sit in and around the port, and enjoy the atmosphere where obviously the new crowd is learning its new songs, and every week we've turned up and there's been more and more black and blue shirts have been bought. It's starting to feel, I think the first time we went, there was a lot of other
the first game that we went to was the derby.
Our first game there was the first derby, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And neither of us owned a Auckland FC shirt at that stage.
All sold out. Anyway, let's move on to the international scene with England.
Oh.
So, England, do you think they're going to have a good game against Albania and Latvia with Tuchel with his first games?
Well, what can we say? I mean, the squad that he's announced, who's been in there, who's in, who's out, first squad. That's right. Nottingham Forest's finest. The heartbeat of the midfield. Oh, that side, there it is. The heartbeat, third place, Champions League placing at the moment. Where is Morgan Gibbs-White?
Well, you've got to say Jordan Henderson has been on form at Ajax. Oh my days, what are you doing, Tuchel?
I mean, I have nothing but respect for Hendo. He is a legend. He's lifted the Premier League.
36.
He's 36. I mean, he's a fit 36. Clearly he must be a good guy. He's obviously a great pro, but is he really got the dynamism?
I mean, I can see what Tuchel's doing of bringing him against two probably weaker opponents. Albania could post something with Straka Hoska in goal, but surely it's a bit too late for Henderson to making a comeback at 36.
I mean, the only logical reason you can think is that he wants to get these people in the camp for a camp to see how they roll.
Yeah,
to see how they go. And maybe it's the same with Kyle Walker.
Yeah.
You know, he's
hasn't been on it much this season.
No, he's brought a few people in that have been on the peripheries now, or probably thought they've been on the way out of the England game, out of the England scene. So I suppose for the younger players that are missing out on this occasion, their time will come. But I mean, the Arsenal lad that's just got sent off twice in
Maurice Lewis-Skelly,
he's in.
He's down as a defender on the England squad.
Down as a defender.
He's played. Has anyone ever seen Lewis-Skelly playing defence? Yeah, he's a ball playing CDM, but do you think he's really going to cut the mustard at like full back or centre half?
I mean, maybe they're looking to train him to be a replacement. I mean, for a long time, England have had problems on one side of the pitch. We don't have a left back, or we don't have a left winger, or whatever. And for me, it's always been a bone of contention because when they get out of the Champions League teams, they just stop looking.
Yeah.
And
maybe you could say Tuchel's VPN has expired.
Well, yeah, maybe that team that he's announced, part of that team looks like it was out of 2019. Maybe he's looking at his old FIFA points. I'm not sure. But it's not really looking like the here and now.
Do you think England will get through the group and get straight to the World Cup?
I would certainly think so. What would you think?
Yeah, I think to lose to Albania in a group, you'd have to be looking at your attack, really. You've got to be slotting at least 3 against Albania.
Well, true, but Albania, it may be a smaller country or lower down the rankings, but there's quality footballers.
Yeah, of course.
What's that, Breuer? He's
yeah.
Yeah, so there's Premier League quality players or higher European League players coming out of Albania. It is yet another Mediterranean country that loves its football, and we may not know that much about it, but it's not going to be that far away from basically Albania have ballers, don't underestimate them.
Do you think we're going to play a younger squad against Latvia just to give them a go?
Not if he puts in Hendo and Walker.
Right, let's move on to the Premier League now. So there's one huge fixture, the London Derby. We got Arsenal versus Chelsea, and there's also another London Derby of Spurs versus Fulham. How do you think these games will go?
Well, we've got, especially with the Arsenal-Chelsea game, I mean, when it comes to our FPL points, our fantasy Premier League points, Chelsea, Palmer has been a pain. He's not delivered. He's getting me regularly 2 points a game. Yeah. When I didn't have him, he was scoring for fun. Bring this guy in.
This is FPL, by the way, listeners.
This is FPL. This is Fantasy Premier League. And there has been a little arm wrestle between father and son here over the FPL, where the father is still just about ahead.
Don't think I've ever beat you. Genuinely don't think I've ever beat you.
Yes, yeah.
Just get bored and play a wild card.
This is why I keep the broadband number to myself.
Such a weirdo.
Cut you off.
Everton versus West Ham.
Oh, the David Moyes derby. I mean, you tell me, Mr. West Ham, how's this going to go?
I think we'd be lucky at a draw. Goodison Park, it's hard to play a game at Goodison, everyone knows. They're going to be loud. Everton are going to be very physical with Moyes. It's going to be, I won't say a snooze fest, but I won't say it's going to be the most exciting game of football. I think it's going to be a 1-0 draw.
A 1-0 draw, that sounds like Moyes ball all over. But your new manager at West Ham,
Graham Potter, yeah, I rate the man. Can he do the job? We haven't seen enough of Evan Ferguson, I don't think. I like the addition of Roberto Scarlos, but I think we need to start Ferguson, push Bowen maybe to a left or right. Let's go on to you, Mr. Forrest, with your Forest versus Ipswich Town.
Well, I mean, growing up I was the Forest supporter in my house, and my brother was the Ipswich supporter. So it's like the brother derby, this one.
Also West Ham as well.
Well, Dad was the West Ham link, so we both chip in and we love our Irons. But yeah, so we I'm feeling that this Forest has got too much for Ipswich.
Yeah.
If Forest were to drop points, it will be pretty hard because Forest are getting so close to securing Champions League.
Not gonna happen.
And we are on the run, and the run doesn't seem to be coming to an end. Our Kiwi favourite, Chris Wood, is continuing to overperform. I'd like to say things like XG, but I don't really know what it means. Ipswich have shown themselves to be a quality side. Maybe a side a bit short of creativity, and a team that probably needed to change their goalkeeper earlier in the season. But they know what they're doing, and the guy Delap up front, he doesn't need too many chances to give you a bloody nose, does he?
Do you think Ipswich will stay up 6 points behind a Wolves team who are actually playing well?
Well, I think with Wolves, they have got some really good players. Kuna, Aitnori.
Kuna is injured, by the way.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to things like that. If I think the Wolves fixtures look pretty favourable at the moment.
Yeah, they've got 3 easier games. I think really Wolves should be staying up. They're probably going to take at least 4 points from the next 3.
I mean, I think last year the 3 promoted teams all got relegated.
I think it's going to be the same.
It looks like a return.
Ipswich are going to need something special.
Yeah, I just hope that they have put enough money in the bank this time round, so they've got a good chance of getting out of the Championship next year.
Yeah.
That's if they do go down. But we like the horses. I like the horses. This
Portsmouth
year,
Road, I think it's going to go.
Portman Road may end up back in the Championship, but hopefully not for 2 decades again.
Yeah.
And as a Forest fan, yeah, we know how that feels. So, maybe you don't get your points this week, Ipswich, but yeah, go for it. And we hope you stay up.
Yeah. This has been the Plenty of Football podcast. Haere rā.